making them? What's your costume route? Or is it a hodgepodge? Or tell me more.
I think it's all, so the hardest things was just the cape, which I think Gwen bought a cloak and then sewed the Superman emblem on the back. And then, I'm just going to wear a pair of licensed, basically like pajama pants that have the Superman symbol on them, and then like a t-shirt with the Superman symbol on them.
Nice. Which, by the way, since we're talking about grown adults that are still dressing up for Halloween, I'm Nick.
And I'm Kyle, and this is the Big Bang Theory. Ba-ba-bow! Chow, chow, chow.
Our kick-ass jubilations. Yeah, we watch the television show, The Big Bang Theory, and then we talk about it. Except we often try not to talk about it because it's not very good, and then we talk about other things we'd really rather talk about, like Halloween stuff. Like I said, I usually wait last minute, and I'm still cutting it pretty close now, trying to go as Gladys from Weapons. And so I went.
Oh, so you finally saw the movie.
I finally saw Weapons. I don't know. It was on streaming. It had left the local theaters. I could not wait any longer without having it entirely spoiled for me. And as soon as I saw Gladys, I was like, oh, she's my number one. She's the best, and she should have everything she deserves. She's strong. She's independent. She is
iconic, certainly. Like, I'm not sure since like Hannibal Lecter and the Face Mask has there been like a horror movie villain who was just like, yeah, that's a look.
Well, and so with that, I yesterday quested. I'm not going for anything close to exact to any of her outfits. My goal was, can I at the local thrift shops find old lady outfits that will get anywhere near fitting a 6-foot-tall man? And I think I did a good enough job. And now I just have to make sure that my face makeup is adequately bizarre, and I'll have it good to go. So beyond that, I don't know. We'll see if I feel comfortable performing that way at a Halloween open mic. We'll see how that goes, but hopefully it'll work out. Halloween, great. We're not watching a Halloween episode, though. Fate has not lined up that way for us. I guess something a little scary happened. It felt like there was a little bit of I think almost a betrayal, but definitely a surprise. And that's because this time around, for this show that we do not enjoy, we chose, again, after so many times before, we chose to watch the 22nd episode of the 9th season, officially titled The Fermentation Bifurcation. This aired Thursday, April 28th, 2016. The unofficial official fan summary from the wiki reads, the gang goes to a wine tasting and run into Penny's old boyfriend, Zach. Also, Bernadette gets stuck spending the evening with Sheldon when she can't drink alcohol. And things don't go as planned when Raj introduces his new friend, Claire. Now, I put a little spice on friend. It's not in quotes. It does say friend. Okay, well, and you know what? That's a fine summary. I think there's like such a mild B-plot here that it's easy enough to wrap up very quickly, which is all the gang are... Well, they're not all invited to go to a wine tasting, but they have the opportunity to go. And all of them do go, except for pregnant Bernadette, because she can't actually drink the wine, and then Sheldon, because he doesn't want to. And
right. Famously established as a teetotaler, Sheldon Cooper.
Yes, who I think...
Which is a weird word, by the way, for someone who doesn't drink. I don't know why, like, where that came from, but that is the only word I know other than sober for a person who never drinks is teetotaler.
No, that's one of those ones where I also am familiar with the word, and sometimes I look it up to be like, where the hell does that come from? It is such a bizarre word, and then I think my brain rejects it because it wants to preserve the mystery. But yes, he does teetotal. And something I thought it wasn't, I don't think, meant to be funny, but just situationally funny, is that, yeah, Bernadette and Sheldon being the two left behind, Bernadette isn't really, like, shy at all at being like, oh, no, we don't hang Sheldon. Like, I guess, like, if you insist, we can try, But the fact that the two of us are being left out does not mean the two of us are together. And I don't know, maybe this just came up as like a bunch of memes recently, because it felt very familiar on my mind, though, that the discomfort of being in any sort of group setting and being like, the connective friend has left. Now friends of friends.
I actually think you got a better version of that with at the wine tasting. The first two people there are Howard and Amy.
Yeah,
and as they're sitting there, like, they just perfectly captured that, like, we don't really hang out together by ourselves, do we? No, we never do, and we never should.
Well, as my incredibly successful but never actually successfully recorded for the podcast because of sound issues storytelling session from several years ago went, my awkward three-way story started with a situation like that where, went out with a friend, but it was really more like went out with a friend of a friend to be like, oh, let's have one-on-one time and see how that goes. And the reality was it didn't go great. It was really like, oh, wow, we absolutely have nothing to talk about. Like, it's just like whatever interest we thought we had in common through our friend was surface level at best, because this stinks. And so, I guess to get back to the A-plot part, Penny and Bernadette overcome this through, Sheldon and Bernadette overcome it through a game of Dungeons and Dragons. There is some initial super boredom, I guess, when Sheldon starts describing all his different model trains and explains how he did swallow one, and I had to chew truth all the way through his intestines. And then how he shows all the different kinds of toast he likes to make, which... Oh, here's a question I had. So they do the toast, and that's like the example of like peak boring activity. And then they move on to Dungeons and Dragons, and I see Bernadette has just a piece of the dry toast that she's taken a bite from. Kyle, social quiz. If you were a guest and someone offers you food that you do not want to eat, such as a cold, dry piece of toast, how inclined are you to politely accept and go through with the mastication ritual out of respect? Or how likely are you to do some version of, no, I'm not putting that garbage in my mouth hole? Where do you come down?
Oh no, I'm as an incredibly picky child with very strong personal boundaries. I have never felt that uncomfortable being like, I will starve before I eat anything anyone gives me that I do not wish to eat.
I feel like I'm similar, but not the same route, which is I'm not picky, but I mean, if I don't like something, it's like, this is hard for me to pretend. Like, I'll eat this boring bad food, but I can't smile my way through it. So
yeah, I don't like get offended anymore. I'm just like, no, I'm good, thanks. And then if they try to push it, I'm just like, no, really, I am good, thank you.
Yeah,
and I will do that for like 20 minutes if I have to.
People like what they like, I think it's weird to either insist or get offended. Even personally, someone who likes to cook, if someone doesn't like my cooking, maybe it's because I did a bad job. Maybe it's not just for them. In either case, I'm never speaking to them again. But that's life, and so they get through it. Where the hell? Oh, right. So she had the toast. But what happens is Sheldon has basically like a one-person D&D campaign set up for her, and he has designed it pretty specifically to like give her a break from being pregnant. Because I forgot, actually, when the show started, for some reason, I had jumped ahead and I was like, they've already had a kid, right? We were done with the pregnancy stuff. But no, she's still very pregnant. And so he sets up a game where, she adventures around and gets to drink beer, and Wallowitz has to stay home with the baby. And stay home with the Wallowitz. It is the baby inside of him.
This is set in an Mpreg universe, so years before the Omegaverse.
Now, Kyle,
yes.
I'm not going to pretend to not be familiar with either of those words, But I'm no expert either. Do you want to go ahead and share for anyone who's fortunate enough to not already know what the MPreg world is?
No, I think we're going to treat it like it's self-explanatory, and anyone who doesn't know, you're welcome to Google it at your own risk.
I was like doing a set where I brought up I forget if it's 6 or 7, whatever number the hottest female Sonic character's YouTube video, and tell people, like, you should go check it out. It's nuts. But you can't do that without also, admitting that you have seen it. And you can say that your interests were just curiosity, but no one believes you. So,
yeah.
But yeah, everyone should watch that, by the way. So they have a good time, and that's kind of it. And who knows? Maybe they'll hang out again. Probably not. They have
made Sheldon seem cute and thoughtful, which he often does not. So, again, just random on a week-to-week basis, whether Sheldon is going to be a clueless idiot or surprisingly socially accommodating, but worked out this time.
Well, and I think my only frustration was that I feel like this would be like another opportunity to really have Bernadette's character shine or to write more into her. Then they don't. What are you going to do? I think they just gave up on her at some point and they don't want to write her off. So she is Seed Bearer, who plays D&D one time. Opposite plot. Everyone except for Bernadette and Sheldon are at, it looks like it's just a bar. Maybe it's a winery, I guess. But they're having a wine tasting. And it's fine. As Kyle's already explained, Amy and Wolowitz are together at first and have no idea how to get along. And then everyone else shows up, and Amy says, "Oh, thank God," which, also I relate. And on the way, it's Raj is talking with Claire, one of the two ladies he's seeing. And this is where I feel like there's a little bit of a betrayal is, Claire, I think, pretty responsibly checks in to be like, so... I can meet your friend, sure, but like, we're still keeping it casual, right? Like, it's going to be weird if I start meeting pals and then things get weird, And he's like, don't worry about it. It's not weird at all. So then she does show up, and some other things do happen, but just to focus specifically on, again, I think a minor betrayal. Penny's ex, Zach, shows up. Immediately points out like, oh, Claire seems really hot and great. Why isn't Raj more serious about this? And Claire's like, I don't know. You're going to have to ask him. And at that moment, I thought, what the fuck are you doing, Claire? What did you just do to Raj? This was half an hour ago. It seemed very clear that you were like, we are keeping it cash. And then this hunk comes around and asks what the situation is. And you're like, yeah, you're going to have to ask Raj about that one. I don't know how he got in this situation. And that's, I
hadn't thought about that, but you're right. That is a little shitty.
It struck a nerve because I feel like I've talked with some other people about this. So I know it's not just me, but the situation of being in some sort of casual relationship and definitely having we're on the same page, right? Check in. And you're never on the same page. And look, it holds true even in television sitcoms. And so those are the betrayals out of the way. Aside from that, I don't know. It's like normal and boring and cute, I guess. It's when Zach shows up. I don't know. Like Raj is already kind of like pestering the group, I guess. Like, do not in any way bring up that I see anybody else around Claire. Which is him being kind of shitty. Because on the one hand, he's really open with it about his friends that he does it. But apparently, he's kind of led on. The ladies are both... their way it's casual, but they don't know each other. And now it's like, oh, but they also are both under the impression that he isn't dating anybody else and don't know about each other yet.
Yeah, I do think it's weird to insist that you're in casual relationships and then introduce one of them to your friend group. Like, to me, and I think this was part of what was Emily was like being weird about. It's like, in what sense are we casual, but you also want to introduce me to all of your friends? It's like, your half of the time girlfriend. It's like, that doesn't seem casual anymore.
Yeah, no, I hate to say it, this situation was just rife for drama from the get-go. It's almost like they wanted to have some sort of conflict here, which is crazy for this show.
You're right.
But they did it. But, so, yeah, Claire's there. And when Zach shows up, to his credit, before he got there, I was like, Claire is really hot. That's as if Claire shows up and is like, oh, hot girl, what's going on? You two together? And then it's like, oh, I don't know, are we, Raj? And Zach, being still a sweetheart, I actually remembered him this time, and he's got, compared to everyone else on the show, there must be something in the contract where none of them are allowed to be above 5'8", I guess. Maybe so like
Yes.
Sheldon can tower over them relatively. And then Zach comes in, and all of a sudden they all look like hobbitses, and it's either that or like Zach is 8 feet tall. I'm not ruling that out either, but it's the discrepancy is insane. And it's one of those like, I've talked about how like I always assume people are way taller than they are. But it looks like everyone on the show is about kind of lined up, and then seeing them next to Zach was like such a shock for me. But that's not important. It's nothing to do with this episode. So Zach shows up, and Raj kind of pulls him aside and is like, "Hey, compared to you, I look like dump. And so if you could maybe like not kind of like compliment Claire too much or hit on her, that'd be great." And Zach is like, "Hey man, not a big deal. I'm not gonna like screw up your whole game." And then walks back and says, "Raj, you're right. Claire's kind of not cool. She's not actually nearly as great as I thought." And so that's another hilarious misunderstanding. At which point, I can't remember exactly why Raj brings it up, but he's like, "Oh, hey, like, why'd you guys tell Claire or anyone, you know, like I'm dating other women?" And Amy says, "Well, we didn't, but you just did." Wah, wah,
Well, to be
wah.
fair, she does trick him into. Well, there's a couple of
That
weird
was
things
the
there.
second betrayal. Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. I was so focused on the first, I forgot that they were connected.
Two weird things happen there. First, Emily's like, "I have to ask, does Raj bring other women around?" Which, like
I
you
have to
said,
correct Claire, by the way, Emily is our redheaded friend.
right. Claire asks, "Does Raj bring other women around to hang out with you guys?" Which, again, is not the kind of thing you would ask if you were trying to keep things casual and chill. And although they react, instead of being like normal about it, which I believe the answer is no, because yes, they have met Emily, but I don't think they've been together with the group in like months. But instead of just being like, "No, not for a while," they're like, "I don't know. What do you think, Penny?" But then they do chill out about it. And then when Raj sits there, he's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And she's like, "All the other women that you see." And Raj is like, "Dudes!" And she's like, "I tricked you."
Yeah, which, you know, it's... The thing, though, is that I talk about, like, Claire's little switcheroo being a setup, and I don't take that back. But Raj is the real bad actor here, I think. He set up the weird situation. It seems he has not been as forthcoming with either of the girlfriends or the casual dates as he could have been. And so this was... he's been hoisted by his own petard. And... I don't know. I guess it were more satisfying. I'm glad that Zach showed up because he's a lovely idiot. Just him being around and being stupid. Oh, and actually, this isn't either of the plots I get. Well, maybe it fits in C plot, but it's more important, kind of is like an underlying thread, though, is they're also going out to talk about how they've finally developed a prototype, like a working prototype for this guidance system they're trying to develop. And then they come to the realization through Zach, who shows up and is like, "Is that something the military might want?" And they're like, "No, why would the military ever want it?" And he's like, "I don't know, is it better than what they have now?" It's like, "Yeah, so why wouldn't they?" And they're like, "Oh, right, the idiot was 100 yards ahead of us." But they don't exactly resolve it, I guess. It turns into like Leonard having his Oppenheimer moment where he's like, "Am I going to be killing people with my brilliance?" And I don't know. I feel like Sheldon kind of assuages it, but I think just kind of being like, "Oh, what are you going to do? You know,
Yeah.
we're lusts for curiosity. How are we not going to do it? You know?"
Yeah, and to be fair, what they've created is basically a thing for keeping satellites in space. It's not quite the same thing as like they invented a high concentrated laser or like a heat seeking targeting system where they're like, "What could this possibly be used for?" So it has other applications, but yes, the military will definitely put it in their satellites.
It's not like in real life where a man with a mullet who exclusively wears Hawaiian shirts is creating AI that is going to be the basis for the hunter killers that that sweep us off the streets. Boy. Anyway,
there was something else with that. I'm trying to, but not the hunter killer thing. I'm trying to think of what the other thing you haven't talked about that is part of that last conversation is, and I like this. This was like my favorite, like little, like I know they'll never come back to it, but I don't even remember their names. But it was like, I'm just going to say Sean and Alice, where it's like, when they're talking about, or when Raj is talking about seeing two women at once, but keeping it casual, Sheldon is like, I get that. You know, that's how like I play one set of video games with you guys and then a different set with Sean and Alice. And they're like, who are Sean and Alice? And he's like, you know, we don't have to talk about it more than that. And then similarly at the end, when they're like, have you thought about the military applications? He was like, yeah, but then I talked to Sean and Alice about it and they reminded me that these things are really outside our control. And it just leaves Leonard being like, who are these people? So I do I just love the idea that Sheldon has secret other friends and has the entire time.
Yeah. The entire dynamic everyone took for granted has been upheaved. And so there's no knowing what the next episode will bring. This is there'll be some sort of hilarious cataclysm coming, I'm sure. And Raj will wear pants that are too tight, and then everyone will talk about whether his genitals are actually large or not. And he'll have to explain, no, they're very average size, but the pants made them look smaller. But it's not big either. I don't want to brag. And everyone will be like, well, that's kind of what we thought. No one changed again. Kyle, any other thoughts on this episode?
Nope, that's it.
Kyle, we talk about things we actually enjoy. Sometimes we do it for an entire episode. If you want to hear us do that, patreon.com/TBBTT. That's the Big Bang Theory. Patreon.com/TBBTT. But for a little preview of that, we're going to talk about things that we've just been enjoying recently. A quick little summary that you should do or try to consume instead of this garbage show that we've been watching for years now. Kyle, shall you go first or shall I?
I'll go first this time. I recently rewatched a movie I hadn't seen, I think, since it came out in theaters, and I was shocked by how good it was. Like, I remembered it being good, but then I watched it again, I was like, this really holds up. And that movie is Red Eye, which is a movie... Craven. Yes. So I think it might have been the last movie Wes Craven ever directed. But I'm not sure. It definitely was very late in his career. And it was billed as like a Wes Craven feature, which meant a lot of people went into it thinking it was going to be a horror movie, but it's not really. Although it does definitely feel like the whole plot of it started out as like the original pitch for like Scream 4, Scream on a Plane. Like that's clearly like, if you told me that's how it was originally like sort of started out and then it became this other thing, I would accept that. But the actual premise of the movie is Rachel McAdams is a career girly who runs a big hotel for like incredibly obscenely wealthy people. And one of the regulars in her hotel is this U.S. I don't remember if he's a senator. He's some high-ranking political person, but lower than the president. And so she has been on vacation herself and is now flying back to the hotel and taking the red eye, which I realized I still don't know what a red eye is a long plane ride that takes place at either early in the morning or overnight. I'm not sure, but
I think it's for like really late night, early morning flights where you are awake way longer or way less than you would like to be and have your hazy red eyes.
Yes. But anyway, so that's why the movie is called Red Eye. And on the way to going through security, she has what at first looks like this. I'm spoiling it a little bit, but it's not really the point of the movie. She has what first looks like this kind of like meet cute right out of a romantic comedy with like Cillian Murphy, way before anybody knew who he was, where they keep bumping into each other. And it's like, oh, this is cute. This hot girl and hot guy keep bumping into each other. And then what do you know? They're sitting next to each other on the plane. Only it's revealed when they're finally like 20,000 feet in the air. He is an assassin who is orchestrating the killing of the political guy, and he needs her cooperation in order to do it. So he has basically waited until she is cornered on this flight to pressure her into helping him with the assassination, or he will do terrible things to her and her family. And so that's the rest of the movie. Is most of it is like her stuck on a plane with him trying to figure out like some solution to the problem, and then eventually she gets off the plane and it kicks off there. And it's like I said, it's not like an all-time classic of cinema, but it's a great little thriller. It reminded me that like Wes Craven, while not like John Carpenter, I think holds the title for like best director who ever like started with a horror franchise, but Wes Craven was also a very good, very talented like director who really understood like pacing and storytelling and stuff like that. And the final scene of the movie, which again feels exactly like something out of Scream, is this very tense standoff in like someone's house where they're like running up and down the stairs and stuff, and it feels very much like the kind of stuff he'd been doing his whole career, just perfected so that it has like this real like perfect like Hitchcockian element to it that I really appreciated, and that all pays off and is fun. So I would recommend that if anybody's just looking for like a fun movie to watch over a weekend. Red Eye.
Well, and I can't give a full recommendation because it's been, I mean, I will. I just haven't, it's been so long since I've seen it. I couldn't describe it in much detail now, but another Wes Craven classic, especially during spooky season, I highly recommend People Under the Stairs, which isn't necessarily a horror movie. It's just wild and wacky, almost like the opposite of what he would try to do in Red Eye, where it's just completely insane. But that I will get to my actual recommendation, which is a very short, spooky game where, man, I may have downloaded it a couple days ago because it's free on PS Plus, and I was immediately taken away, which is called Crow Country. And I think it came out about a year ago, and it's pretty easy to describe without spoiling too much, I guess, which is that it is a real homage to your like late 90s, like particularly like Resident Evil survival horror games. And it is, I don't know, it kind of goes for a nostalgic feel, both in that it uses very low poly models, maybe like lower than you would have seen on the original PlayStation. And, you know, has like filters and stuff just to make it look like an older, scratchier game. But basically it is, you are wandering into an abandoned theme park. You are a young woman on a mission that you will not tell anyone the actual goal of, other than that you are searching for the proprietor of the Crow Country theme park, who she believes is still on the premises of the abandoned park. And the park has been abandoned because a girl there was injured in mysterious circumstances that were never fully revealed, and that it was apparently upsetting enough that the park was just immediately shut down without notice. And so you show up, you start crawling around looking for this guy. Wouldn't you know it? Oh, spooky monsters. How'd they get there? How'd that happen? You better find out. Baby, it's Crow Country. And I think the main, I don't know, both advantage and disadvantage of, I guess you could call it modern game design, or just the way this game decided to do it, is, like I said, it's very much like Resident Evil, where you are doing resource management, but it also, so it does have an item design system where instead of, like in your old school Resident Evil games, there is a very fixed, finite amount of ammo and health pickups in the game that you have to, you know, very sparingly manage throughout. Well, I guess there's a mode where you can do that, but the average gameplay is it spawns stuff in randomly. So if you're ever, you know, super low on resources and on the verge of death, it's not a situation where you have to do like a big major restart. It'll give you things you need to survive, which is nice. But on the other side too, kind of diminishes the survival horror aspect when you know that the game is also like trying to take care of you a bit to make sure you're not having a terrible time. And so I don't know, it's weird. Like I really enjoyed it, but that is like one of those trade-offs of this is a good, satisfying thing that will not let me lose, but I mean, still having a nice time. So, yeah. And also it's so short. I finished earlier this afternoon, and I mean this in a positive way. Like it does not drag and drag and drag. There's also not much filler or fat in it. And so it's just a nice, concise little thing. And much like the old Resident Evil games, I guess there's other unlockables and extra modes. And so I'm going to keep playing it for at least a bit, but even just for like one quick little run through. Crow Country, fun game. At least on the it's probably on everything, but it's free on PS5 right now.
Would you say it's actually scary or more just
So some parts of it are unsettling.
Okay.
The graphics make it pretty cute overall because you're dealing with kind of like roly-poly characters. But then when you start running into monsters, it's like, oh, that is kind of a horrifying, shambling thing that I don't want to be anywhere near. It is not real sustained horror. It's a spooky experience.
Well, awesome. I'm in.
So we have Red Eye and Crow Country. Both things not meant to terrify you to death, but to give you a little thrill and a chill. Ooh. Any final thoughts, Kyle, as we wrap up on this Halloween episode?
Yeah, happy Halloween, everyone.
Oh, spooky.
Yeah, everybody can do a Dracula. What I wish I could do, but I definitely can, is a Crypt Keeper. Can you do Crypt Keeper?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I could try that. Yeah, I don't think that's it.
We'll take that for now.
Ghouls?
Yeah, there you go.
We'll leave it go there, and I'll give my Crypt Keeper signed and framed portrait a kiss, which would get me in trouble in law offices where I would proudly display it. Thank you, Crypt Keeper, for all the love and support over the years.